We might actually have a fire going. Woo woo! This is the tent. It's a little windy. I got the tarp out there, so I'm kind of on the snow. I did have the tarp down earlier. It's my little pile of wood. There's wood right there I can cut up. There's wood there. Yeah, this is the calmest it's ever been right now. Other than that, it's just woo 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 with the wind. The whole tent is going. I'm pretty sure if I didn't have that tarp out there, I wouldn't have a tent. So, you know, praise Yahuah anyways for the good and the bad. I'm just so thankful that a fire is going because I really want to eat something tonight. And I was literally about to give up and be like, you know what? I don't need to eat tonight. It's totally cool. I got snacks. I can make snacks tonight. Look at that. The fire is going. I need to add more to that, obviously, but just want to let it go a little bit, let it pick up a little bit. There's fuel in there. I could add more fuel. Is it really going? Thank you, Master. I'm gonna have a French vanilla tonight, if the fire keeps going, of course. Hallelujah. I just realized I'm still recording. I was just bringing the phone down with me because I wanted to look. I figured you guys could look too. I'm going to stop using this little kindling stuff because I think that's good for now. I'm going to let that go a little bit. Let the flames pick up. That's what these little vent things are for. Dirty fingers. Praise Yahuah, the fire actually lit. I was literally giving up. Good morning, day 2. This thing, a grommet broke. Just ripped it right out. I can show it to you. Maybe I can show it to you. Yeah, this thing. Just ripped it straight out. Right off. That kind of sucks. I don't think I'm going to stay here till next Monday, but yeah, it's going to be a good few days if I get the ability to leave sooner. Also just going on a hunt to look for the old man's beard. And other little bits of kindling that I can start a fire with. Because I have lots of firewood, but no real kindling. Other than paper that's damp. And damp paper don't work. Yeah. I don't think there's any kitties in the trees. I can't quite see exactly. I saw squirrels run across the ground over there, so I don't think there's any kitties on the ground. Here, anyways. I don't see any extra footprints in the grass. Like the grass and the snow. Those are mine. Yeah, those are mine. I just think about that for a second. I was like,
Days from me doing my thing. I rock Montana 6, hardcore, the yellow thin, multicolor letter plans with styles that never end. Etched glass.
Good afternoon. Praise Yahuah. Hallelujah. Yahuah. Shalom. Sorry for butchering all the names and the soundings of text, by the way. I just want to point out that Bill C9, the only thing they had to quote was chapters or books, from the word of Yahuah tainted by Christianity, and that's all they had to say. They were like, books like this and that are not allowed. Like, they mentioned Romans and Leviticus. It's like, dude, you're crazy. I'd also like to point out that this is one of the smaller versions because I almost can't read this. Like, it's really tiny. And don't worry about these lights. These are just little burn holes in my tent because I'm in the tent right now. You know, got a little fire going. Just gonna cook something, but I figured I'd read the word first. And, you know, it's my little setup. I'm sleeping underneath of this. It's called a bivvy. It's like waterproof, some firewood. You know, this is what I carried all my stuff in on. That was on my backpack, but gotta be safe. You never know. I don't even know if I can show that, but it's just bear spray. It's not illegal. It's actually recommended when you go out in the woods to carry. Yeah, and obviously, you know, chocolate's good for your energy when it's mixed with like salts and other things. Anyways, yeah, so I'm just out here, and I wanted to read the word yesterday, and instead I built a fort, and I also walked around in the woods a little bit just to kind of relax from after building the fort. And then I came into the tent and I fell asleep. And I woke up just before the sun came up, or just before the sun came down, and yeah, was just distracted with nature and listening to the animals and just chilling. I was gonna build another fort and kind of move my stuff over there and camp in there for a single night because I'm leaving tomorrow, but I don't know, my hip was in a lot of pain, so I just didn't do that because I still have a 10-kilometer hike tomorrow out of here, and if I mess myself up today, I'm gonna be really hurting tomorrow when I'm carrying all my luggage home. So I was like, nah, you know what, I'm just gonna sit back and listen to some music and put some cream on my hip and maybe cook something. Probably make a tea or something, because there's pine needles like right there. I could just pick off the tree and throw in some water and have some pine tea. But yeah, that video that I made yesterday, I don't know if I'll post it or not, because it was just me rambling on and I kept getting distracted by things around me, and I was just like I just love the woods. It's so hard to do a teaching in the woods because I love the woods so much that I get so distracted. Pray for me. Anyways, this is Leviticus 11. This is extremely important. This is talking about what is good health. Nothing in Yahuah's Torah is bad for you. It's all for good health. It's a just system, a just household, a just family, just children, and a just diet. Science has proven all of this to be a really good way of doing things. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. I'm not saying you absolutely have to. You know, Bill C9 is making it seem like I'm going to stick a gun down your throat if you don't do it. That's not the case at all. You have the free will to do whatever you want, says the Constitution. So you're offended. In my opinion, I believe that you're offended because you know that the word of Yahuah is the way of life and that your way is deception and hatred, and you don't like that, so you're just going to try to silence everybody by throwing them in prison and killing them. Yeah, so I understand. There's a guy in Germany who worked for the Ashkenazis who did that very same thing using a group of people. It was pretty ruthless. Those same Ashkenazis that are in the Middle East right now pretending to be a certain people. Not sure how much I can say, but let's actually get into Leviticus 11 now. It's been 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Come on, let's move along here. Sorry. So yeah, Leviticus 11, and sorry for my shake. I'll try to fix it. It's because I'm laying on my bed and it's not sturdy. Anyways, Leviticus 11, and Yahuah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying to them, speak to the children of Yasharel. Also, the reason why I was apologizing beforehand, because it says Elohim in here. Every time it says Elohim, it is talking about an idol. It's not Elohim, it's Elohim. So just to clarify. And Yahuah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying to them, Speak to the children of Yasharel, saying, These are the living creatures which you do eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatever has a split hoof completely divided, chewing the cud, so it must have both a split hoof completely divided and chewing the cud among the beasts that you do eat. Only these you do not eat among those that chew the cud or those that have a split hoof, the camel, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof. It is unclean to you. So again, it's not my opinion, it's not my interpretation, it's as it is written in the scriptures. You must have a cloven hoof completely divided and chew the cud for it to be clean. Whatever has a split hoof completely divided, chewing the cud among the beasts that you do eat. Only these you do not eat among those that chew the cud or those that have a split hoof, the camel, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof. It is unclean to you. Chewing the cud means it has multiple stomachs, so it keeps bringing it up till it gets to the last stomach, which I think is really gross, but that's kind of interesting that's how some animals work. I'm glad I don't work like that. I would be really grossed out. I think I would just starve because I'd bring that up and I'd be like, I'm not putting that back in my mouth. But for them, it's different. It doesn't come up with all the acids and stuff like that. It's like the stuff that didn't get processed. Still gross to me, but anyways. And the rabbit, because it chews the cud, but it does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the hare, because it chews the cud, but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the pig, though it has a split hoof, completely divided, yet does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you. Their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you do not touch. They are unclean to you. If you couldn't even touch the carcass, there is no way that Yasharel was placing things like seal skin, which do not have fins and scales, on the most set apart objects. You're not even allowed to touch it, it says here. These you do eat of all that are in the waters, any one that has fins and scales in the waters, in the seas or in the rivers, that you do eat. But all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers I'm going to start at 10 again. But all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, all that move in the waters, or any living being which is in the waters, they are an abomination to you. They are an abomination to you. Of their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you abominate, which means you wouldn't touch them either. All that have not fins or scales in the waters are an abomination to you, and these you do abominate among the birds. They are not eaten. So to be an abomination is to not be eaten in this context. They are an abomination, the eagle and the vulture and the black vulture and the hawk and the falcon after its kind, every raven after its kind, and the ostrich and the nighthawk and the seagull and the hawk after its kind. These are all scavengers. You wouldn't want to put that in your body. They take in toxins and it doesn't leave their system. And the little owl and the fisher owl and the great owl and the white owl and the pelican and the carrion vulture and the stork, the heron after its kind, and the hoopoe and the bat, all flying insects that creep on all fours, is an abomination to you. Only these you do eat of every flying insect that creeps on all fours, those which have joint legs above their feet with which to leap on the earth. And I am so blind I cannot see that, so I don't even bother with the insects. These of them you do eat, the arba locust after its kind, and the solam locust after its kind, and the hargo locust after its kind, and the hagab locust after its kind. But all other flying insects which have 4 feet are an abomination to you, and by these you are made unclean. Anyone touching the carcass of any of them is unclean until evening. And anyone picking up part of of the carcass of any of them has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. Every beast that has a split hoof not completely divided or does chew the cud is unclean to you. Every beast that has a split hoof not completely divided or does not chew the cud is unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass is unclean. And whatever goes on its paws among all the creatures that go on all fours, those are unclean to you. Every animal that is a predatory animal out here is unclean. In fact, every predatory animal is unclean. They all have paws. Interesting. You know, dogs, cats, bears. I would consider dogs and wolves to be in the same category, as well as cats and cougars, the same category. They're cats. They have the same paw, whether big or small, it's a paw. So, you know, and obviously the polar bears with the bear and all the other kinds of bears with the bear. So you just, you know, they all have paws. So they're unclean to you. If you wish to be a part of Yasharel, they are unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass is unclean until evening, and he who picks up their carcass has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. They are unclean to you, and these are unclean to you among the creeping creatures that creep on the earth, the mole and the mouse and the tortoise after its kind, and the gecko and the land crocodile and the sand reptile and the sand lizard and the chameleon. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Anyone who touches them when they are dead becomes unclean until evening. So it doesn't matter if you touch them while they're alive. It's when they're dead. And whatever any of them in its dead state falls upon becomes unclean, whether it is any wooden object or garment or skin or sack, any object in which work is done. It is put in water, and it shall be unclean until evening, then it shall be clean. Any earthen vessel into which any of them falls, whatever is in it becomes unclean, and you break it. Any of the food which might be eaten on which water comes becomes unclean, and any drink which might be drunk from it becomes unclean, because it makes it dirty, it's poisonous, it could make you sick. That's why it's unclean. Now, you don't have to follow this. You can go out of your way and go ahead and drink all this garbage if you really want to, but it's bad for you. And if we want to be part of Yasharel, it's up to us to not do these things. Now, if you're offended, it's because you know that this is healthier than what you're doing. Any of the food which might be eaten on which water comes becomes unclean, and any drink which might be drunk from it becomes unclean. And on whatever any of their carcass falls becomes unclean. An oven or cooking range, it is broken down. They are unclean and are unclean to you. Because this stuff soaks in, that's why. But a fountain or a well, a collection of water is clean, but whatever touches their carcass is unclean. And when any of their carcass falls on any planting seed which is to be sown, it is clean. But when any water is put on the seed, and any part of any such carcass falls on it, is unclean to you, because it seeps in. And when any of the beasts which are yours for food dies, he who touches its carcass becomes unclean until evening. And he who eats of its carcass has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. And he who picks up its carcass has to wash his garments and shall be unclean until evening. And every swarming creature, the one that swarms on the earth, is an abomination. It is not eaten. So again, what is an abomination in this context is what is not eaten. Whatever crawls on its stomach, and whatever goes on all fours, and whatever has many feet among all swarming creatures, the ones swarming on the earth, these you do not eat, for they are an abomination. And all of these abominations that you're not supposed to eat are bottom feeders. They also clean the planet. If we stopped killing them all off and let them do their job, the world would be a lot cleaner. But instead, we'd rather eat that. And pigs can get a virus, and it doesn't leave their system. They don't sweat it out or nothing. They collect parasites and everything, and it doesn't come out. With cooking, you just bake them into it, which is gross. Do not make yourselves abominable with any swarming creature, the ones swarming, and do not make yourselves unclean with them, lest you be defiled by them. For I am Yahuah your Elohim, and you shall set yourselves apart, and you shall be set apart, for I am set apart. And do not defile yourselves with any swarming creature, the one creeping on the earth, for I am Yahuah, who is bringing you up out of the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, the border of Africa, to be your Elohim, and you shall be set apart, for I am set apart. This is the Torah of the beasts and the birds and every living being, the creeping creature in the heavens and of every being that swarms on the earth, to make a distinction between the unclean and the clean, and between the living creature that is eaten and the living creature that is not eaten. I would just like to point out that this part of the Torah is for everybody. Man, woman, child, judge, you name it. Animals. This is for all of Yasharel. This part of the Torah. Now there's Torah for, when a woman has conceived, well, men don't conceive. So that men wouldn't have to keep the part of conception. They wouldn't have to keep the weekly uncleanness part, because that's for women. But women also wouldn't have to do certain things that men would do, like, when they, I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say that. When they do their man-woman deed, we'll call it, because I don't know if I can say it, but the man-woman deed, men are also unclean for a week because of what they produced, right? Woman wouldn't keep that, only man would keep that. See, there's different parts, and there's certain parts, say the sacrifices, which I think is kind of ironic that Babel is using the Star of Kayan, or Molech, they call it the Star of David, anyways, to sacrifice Yasharel, because that's the same symbol that Yasharel first used when they sacrificed their own children to their idols. They have no authority to do sacrifices because that was of Levi, and they're claiming to be Yehuda. They're witnessing against themselves when they say, I'm Yehudi. Well, Yehudi had no authority to be priestly duties in the sacrificial area. The only Yehudi priest was to guard the temple. You were outside the temple guarding it. You were not in there doing the sacrifices. That was a Levite who was a judge and a ruler. They were the officers, Levite. They didn't have a specific place because they were given cities from all 12 tribes. So when anyone says, oh, it's okay if I keep this unclean animal with this clean animal, we'll just call it common and still eat them. No, see, pigs will attack anything, whether they bite it or not. And now you're eating something that's been ravaged by another animal, which is not supposed to be done. We're not supposed to eat animals ravaged by other animals. So why you would stick sheep or something like that in with cows or in with pigs is just a lack of care. That's all it is. It's not that you're this evil, wicked person because you put pigs and cows together. It's just a lack of care. Again, people can get upset and say, we're this, we're that, but you're just upset and offended because it's the truth and it's the truth. And the truth is offending you. And we have to try not to be offended. I know I still get offended. I know a lot of people still get offended. When they hear me speak and I'm saying no, it's one way. Like Yahuah is Yahuah, and you don't get to call him whatever, and they get offended and they just stop talking to me. It's because they don't want to change, and they think that I won't accept them if they won't change, which is not the case at all. You go ahead and have your different view. It's called life. But we are supposed to be one body, you know, under one master who ends up bowing to the master of masters, Yahuah. Anyways, praise Yahuah. Hallelujah, Yahuah. I hope you enjoy this beautiful day. I cannot wait to hike out of here tomorrow. And if you're wondering, at the beginning of that video, that was some kind of poop that was in the corner of the tent. There was snow everywhere when I came here, so I didn't even notice. I thought that this spot had no poop because I could see lots of poop everywhere else. So I'm like, oh, this is like one of the only spots that didn't have poop. Well, no, I was wrong. I'm laughing at myself. You should try that sometime, laughing at yourself. It feels good, especially when you're when you've done something foolish. But yeah, enjoy this beautiful day. Praise Yahuah, and don't forget to sigh or exhale, whichever you'd like to call it. Praise Yahuah. Hallelujah, Yahuah. Shalom.